Welcome to What's Your St. John's Story, a 30-minute segment sponsored by St. John's United, highlighting connectivity within our community through storytelling. I'm Rachel Simonson with the St. John's Foundation, and today we're talking about the LSVT Big Loud program with two of our physical therapists. And I will introduce them to you. We've got Pistora, who is a physical therapist at St. John's, and Jeri Grimsley, who's a speech-language pathologist within the therapy department at St. John's. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So, Allie, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about how you found St. John's, how long you've been at St. John's, and your role.
Well, actually, Jeri and I have very similar stories because we both started as students at St. John's, doing our internships. I was in my last year, doing about 2 months of physical therapy work underneath two people that are still, or one is still at St. John's there. And it's been 7 years being a physical therapist. I mainly work with the people that are at St. John's or in the community. So doing outpatient and also long-term care setting and things like that.
Well, welcome. We'll learn more about your role within the Big Loud program in just a minute. Jeri, tell us your story.
So, like Allie said, I also got my start at St. John's as a student. It was my final externship placement through University of Montana. And I was there for about 4 months. And while I was there, our director of rehab mentioned that they might be looking to hire a full-time speech pathologist and asked if I would be interested in applying, and I said yes very quickly.
Well, wonderful. Well, we're glad to have both of you. And today we're talking about a program that really focuses in on people with Parkinson's. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So which one of you would like to start us off and tell us exactly what LSVT Big Loud is all about?
Well, I'll start and then maybe Jeri can add, but this program is focused on Parkinson's, but it also can suit other neurological conditions. And it's a very intensive, individualized program that's about 1 hour sessions for 4 times a week for 4 weeks. And what it does is focuses on these people where what they think they're doing and then what they're actually doing is there's a mismatch there. Often these people have like a very small movements, or their abilities are shrunken down by their diagnosis. And so this program has a lot of clinical evidence that has been proven to change that person's quality of life and make what they do every day just a lot easier. And so there's 2 types of programs. There's the big portion that's focusing on movement, and then there's a speech portion that focuses on the voice quality, the speaking quality. And maybe Jeri can tell people how it got started.
So it was originally a program for voice, and the big component was added later. Something that they noticed for people with Parkinson's is their speaking voice was quite diminished. And they had greatly reduced volume, short rushes of speech, very difficult to understand them. And so they put a lot of time and research into developing this protocol to get people to think loud, be loud in their everyday life. It enhances, like Allie said, quality of life, improved communication, and they then started to develop the big program to go along with this and apply the same principles.
So it sounds like it goes against everything your mother taught you about using your indoor voice.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Right. So talk a little bit about LSVT so that we just get that on the table for people so that they know what that actually means.
So LSVT is Lee Silverman Voice Therapy Treatment. I always forget the T. Lee Silverman Voice Treatment. And
She was like the first client ever. She was the person with Parkinson's that her voice was really small, and this professor in speech science just wanted to change how this person was speaking. And so it's named after her, the first client.
All right, so good. So I want to delve into the speech pathology piece of it a little bit, because oftentimes we know about speech pathology just because we've had kids in school or classmates who had difficulty with certain letters.
Correct.
So how does speech pathology work into the rehabilitative services that St. John's offers, because it's typically for older adults?
Yes. So a lot of people think when they hear that I'm a speech therapist, oh, you work with kids. Our discipline actually addresses the lifespan from birth to death. And so my role at St. John's is to work with people with cognitive communication disorders, swallowing disorders, voice disorders, language and speech disorders. So it's very diverse what we do, and yeah, it's fascinating.
So give me an example. I'll ask both of you, but I'm going to keep going with Jeri here. If I were to come to you in the beginning stages of the Big and Loud program, and if my voice, if I were having trouble with that, what kinds of exercises would you start for me?
So if you were to come to the clinic as a person with Parkinson's, we would do an evaluation, and I would assess your vocal quality and your stimulability for the program, or in other words, can you be loud enough to participate in the exercises. So the exercises that we would start with, it's a very prescriptive program. So we do sustained phonation, so saying ah, and we do that 15 times. Then we go into pitch glides, so going ah and ah, again 15 times each. It also incorporates functional phrases for people who, to have that trigger every day, saying, like, did you let the dog out? And that's going to trigger them, oh, I need to use my loud voice. So we practice that, and then conversation as well.
And so I would assume that if somebody has a spouse, that they too would be part of this, because
Right.
the daily communication between spouses is pretty critical.
Yes, and that is ideal. It is vital to have a good support system for our patients and people who are willing to go on this journey with their loved one.
And I'm going to switch back over to Allie, and we'll talk a little bit about the motion part of this. But I'm going to ask, when is the right time for somebody to become involved with the Big and Loud program within the progression of their condition?
Well, if they just want to improve upon themselves, we can make it as challenging, no matter what stage you are, to enhance your quality of life, enhance what you do every day. So just like Jeri is very prescriptive exercises, certain movements that's been known to improve you the best compared to do something else, especially for Parkinson's, where they move, like combing your hair is real small. Maybe they don't get up as high. Well, we get them way big up into it. To normalize their movement, not make it excessive, but get back to the normal. And so there's 10 exercises. We go through them every single day. They also have homework where they have to do them again later that day, or twice a day when they don't see us. Then we move on to those functional things we do every day that they want to improve upon. Walking up the stairs, getting in and out of the car. What's really hard is pushing buttons through your shirt. You know, anything from big to small, but it's movement-based compared to Jeri's voice-based. And having someone in your corner to work on this with you makes you accountable, because it's not only a program just for the time, but it's a lifetime change.
And Parkinson's really manifests itself differently for every person with the condition. You know, we think of I think of an uncle of mine, a great uncle, and he had the tremors. But some people don't have tremors at all. And then you think of people like Michael J. Fox who have the big movements that they can't really control.
Yeah.
So I assume you're doing assessment with whatever.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, people just don't come in with one thing a lot of the times, and as we get older, we have more things to deal with, and yeah, everybody's variable, and that's why it's so individualized for them. What is going to be meaningful to them to make the changes they need?
Fantastic. If you don't mind, can you share some success stories that each of you have had within your contexts with the program?
Sure.
Jeri.
So I'm fairly new to the LSVT program, but I have had the opportunity to work with several people. Something that I've heard somewhat regularly is, well, I talked to my daughter on the phone and she said, that's the voice that I can remember. And it is really eye-opening for our patients, because with Parkinson's, it messes with your perception. So you don't really understand that you're talking very quietly. And so a lot of what we do goes against what they want to do naturally, because they think they're shouting at us. But it's always gratifying to hear those stories of, well, my daughter can hear me when I talk to her on the phone now, or my husband could hear me from the next room. So it's as a clinician, that's always very exciting and worth the effort and the time and
Absolutely.
making a difference.
I would assume between spouses too, it's about that selective hearing.
Yes.
Blanking. Yeah, I said it, but you didn't hear me.
Exactly.
Maybe you didn't say it loud enough.
What I like, just to add on to Jeri, is when she's working with them, they actually become from a flat person that's expressionless to someone that you can read or smile, and that makes you them more approachable or whatnot. But some of my stories are just, I have a person in their 40s, and he was talking about his son going hunting, and they had to wait on their dad to put on his hoodie, and it was taking them minutes and minutes to put on his hoodie, and he was just talking about how he was like the first one out the door finally compared to his son.
Oh, wow. So that much improvement.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually visible to
Yeah.
family members.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So this program is offered on an outpatient basis, I assume, and they come to St. John's, to your office, or what's the setting for this?
So they come to our outpatient center, and for speech therapy, we go into a separate room. People get very self-conscious about using a louder voice. I frequently hear it, well, they're going to hear me. But yeah, they come into the office, and ideally we do big and loud at the same time. Well, not exactly at the same time. They'll see one of us and then the other of us, and work on all of those skills at the same time.
Yep.
So it's both disciplines each time they come in for a session.
Yeah.
And we also offer occupational therapists do the big and loud, the big part. So instead of the physical movement that maybe physical therapy advises it, if they have more of an upper extremity issue or more of a dressing, hygiene things, occupational therapy can suit that too.
Yeah, my mother had rheumatoid arthritis, and we had all kinds of nifty devices around our house. Things to buttons and zippers and
Yeah.
things to grab, handles on the washing machine and that sort of thing. So that's good to know that occupational therapy can be brought in on this as well to really help them adapt in their world.
Different mindset, yes,
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about the scope of physical therapy at St. John's. We've got a lot of things going on. We've got a brand new transitional care center going online sometime soon, next year. Talk a little bit about your department at St. John's.
Gotcha. We do physical therapy in all different areas. We have home health, we have outpatient where it's the community or those independent living people on campus. We go to Windstone in the Heights, we go to the Crossings in Laurel, and then our main campus, which is on the west end on Shiloh. Then there's also assisted living that's also considered outpatient. We have long-term care, which is in our skilled nursing areas in the cottages and on the main campus where we do therapy with them all the way to, we have hospice care too. But physical therapy doesn't go into that. Anyways, we have occupational therapy in most of those areas as well. And with physical therapy, we're the movement experts. We are trying to make you move as easy as you can to accomplish your goals. Maybe we do hands-on care where we're relieving soft tissues to make your pain eased. And then we also give you the education to move on, you know, do those exercises, go through your normal life with things we recommend to make it easier for you.
Absolutely. And then, Jeri, within the speech therapy, speech pathologist world, you talked a little bit about some swallowing exercises and that. Talk a little bit about the scope of your world.
So, like you mentioned, swallowing disorders. We often see people post-stroke who have swallowing disorders, language disorders, aphasia, or something we call dysarthria, which is muscle weakness and causing slurring of speech. And something that I frequently do at work is cognitive rehabilitation. We see people who are just out from surgery and maybe their cognitive skills aren't quite as sharp as they need to be to safely go home. So we address skills like attention, problem solving, memory, and help them sharpen and hone those skills to increase their safety and independence in their living environment, and help them increase their functionality so they can be safe.
Absolutely. Well, there's just so much to physical therapy, the therapy department. There's a lot that can go wrong with our bodies, and there's an awful lot that you can fix. And without a lot of medical intervention, I would assume that just plain exercises sometimes makes all the difference, not necessarily a pill that you have to swallow, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So for people who are facing some challenges, is physical therapy something that they can just pick up the phone and call and book an appointment, or do they have to have a referral from a physician? How does that work?
Well, most of the time our people are the geriatric population and maybe they're covered by Medicare, and we often recommend they get a referral from their physician. But Montana is a direct access people, but most of the time the insurance prefers them to ask their doctor, and then we get the orders sent to us.
Sure, because if it's going to be covered by insurance, it's just easier for them at the
And
insurance
I think
level.
it's good to have another set of eyes on them too.
All right, well, good. So a referral from their physician, and I'm sure there are lots of options in Billings for physical therapy, but why St. John's? What do you think makes St. John's the place to go or the place of choice for services?
That is a good question. I mean, that is a lot of options. I'm sure other places are very skilled too. It's just we focus on the geriatric population. We're very skilled in that. We have a lot of therapists that are trained and specialized in different areas. I'm trained in wound care as well. And I just feel like St. John's always does the right thing for the person, you know. We will make it work if your finances are low and trying to see you. And we do have skilled that we have a lot of outcomes that are improved, and those people walk away feeling much better being at St. John's.
And something that I love about where we work is there's a lot of heart in St. John's. You have people who are deeply invested in your recovery process, and we always try to stress to people that their goals for their recovery are our goals as well. So people who are in our transitional care, they tell us, I want to go home. Well, we want to get you there. And we do what we can to make that possible. And yeah, lots of good people in our rehab department and at St. John's in general.
Yeah. And I think too, having access to the continuum of care, if you were to see somebody progressing, that's one of the advantages as well, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I know who that person is walking through the door. I know who they used to be. I know what they want to be. That's usually the case, and yeah, that's one of the best parts is you always have a familiar face.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Because things do happen. We grow older, things happen, we grow frailer, we might access outpatient services, but then we've got those people in our corner as we need to progress through continuums for higher levels of care. So, all right, well, our time is winding down here, and I'm going to ask the two of you to reflect on your time at St. John's. What keeps you at St. John's?
I would like to stress what Jeri said about the people that care. I think everybody lives the mission at St. John's, the providing nurturing environments of hope, dignity, and love. And that's what I tell people is we do the right thing, we care, we have a good heart, and that's why I stay there. It's no place like it.
All right. Jeri?
I would definitely echo what Allie said. Something that one of our coworkers said one time is that we are our work family. It's not just coworkers. We're a tight group of people, and I think that is reflected in the care that we provide.
Absolutely. So like I do with everybody who's here, I would like to ask you if I ran into you out in the community and just randomly said to you, what's your St. John's story? How would you respond?
I can go first. Sure. Working here for about 6 months, you get very invested into the people. Like most of the people I work with are residents. They've been there. I've been there. I see them every single day. And coming from Kansas, I didn't know anybody here. And then I got involved in the community, and every single person I meet, they have that connection to St. John's. Whether it's a family member, they worked there. My boyfriend worked in the kitchen as a dishwasher when he was in high school. You know, everybody has that familiarity with St. John's, and that's our connecting piece. And that's kind of my story, is like, it's my bonding to this area.
Fantastic. Well, that's why we call this What's Your St. John's Story? Everybody has one.
Yep.
Jeri, how about you?
I am that odd person. I didn't really know anybody who had any connection with St. John's. In fact, when I was placed with St. John's for my externship, I thought, really? I don't want to go there. Not knowing anything about them at all. And I was quickly proven wrong and have been there for 7 years. So it's a wonderful place.
That's fantastic. You know, I would imagine that there are plenty of people who have come to live at St. John's who have said, I don't want to go there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but they have come to become part of a bigger community.
Yes.
Oh, and you can see them changing as they live there. You know, give them a couple weeks, and then they're like, oh, I'm at home again.
Oh, good.
And that's something that St. John's does very well, is community building. They stress the importance of community and companionship and providing good quality of life.
Absolutely. All right. Well, your department has a place on our website, stjohnsunited.org, underneath the services, and I believe it says rehabilitation or therapy services. So if If you are interested in learning more about the Big and Loud program, or need other physical therapy or occupational therapy or speech therapy services, you can check out our website, stjohnsunited.org. So thank you both for being here today. Thank you both for the work that you do at St. John's. It's important work, and you do well for your patients and your clients. And I know that they appreciate it. So thank you so much. And thanks for joining us today on What's Your St. John's Story. We look forward to having you with us next time.
For generations, St. John's has united us with its uplifting vision and lives it has touched. There are thousands of stories about St. John's. Prayers answered for a long-awaited adoption, pain-free relief after healing from injury, settling into a new home for the next phase of life, the comfort of compassionate end-of-life care, the joy that comes from volunteering, and at-home help that supports the fullest life. At St. John's, we are creating community and bringing families together. We offer many services for home, health, and family, from childcare, support for an unplanned pregnancy, and physical therapy, to home health care, senior living services, and hospice care. For all times of life, we are here for you. The heartwarming stories of St. John's are woven into the fabric of our community. What's your St. John's story?